Welcome to this edition of Weekend Review, along with Hannah Luttrell. I'm Marlon Paley, and sitting in for Ganem this week is Dr. Robert Bates. He's going to talk about the trip to Persia. But first, let's see what you have to say to everyone that watches LLBN through your cards and letters. Hannah?
Thank you, Marlon. As always, we love receiving those cards and letters for you, so thanks so much for sending those in. This one here comes from Shirley Lynn in Kansas City. And Shirley writes, actually this part is addressed to Dan Smith, and she writes, I really like your new program and the people you have chosen to share it with you. I am planning on learning from what you present. And Marlon, that would be our GPS program, God's Prophetic Surprises, that delves into Revelation. So if you haven't seen that, you'll want to catch that and see why Shirley likes it so much. She goes on to say, I am an 84-year-old lady who is now a double lower leg amputee, and I don't always get to church. A group of my friends joined me in having Sabbath school here in my home when my health kept me from church. I have enjoyed and appreciated your sermons for a long time. My Sabbath school friends bought me the equipment to have LLBN in my home. Well, thank you, Shirley and friends. I'm so glad that you can now enjoy LLBN in your home. Another one here, Marlon, comes from Christine in Riverside, California. And Christine writes, Dear LLBN staff, thank you for broadcasting the Sabbath worship services as well as Sabbath school. These are greatly appreciated. The Searching for Answers program has been my favorite for many years, and now the GPS presentations. There are others that I could mention, but may the Lord continue blessing your endeavors. Sincerely, Christine.
I'm just so encouraged and excited about the cards and letters that you send to the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network, and that's one way that you support the network. We want you to tell us what you think. Even if you have some critical suggestions, we need to hear those too. But we also love to hear how you pray for this ministry, how you support this ministry financially, how you support this ministry by telling everybody you know to watch Randy Roberts at University Church on LLBN. You can do that by streaming, and actually a variety of ways. Streaming is one way. What's the other way, or ways, Hannah?
Well, people can watch us on satellite, and as you know, right now we have two English channels, spiritual channels, His Word and His Light TV. You can also watch these channels and the other channels on Roku, a small little box. You can find more information about that on our website, so just give us a call and we'll be happy to share the information with you.
And don't forget, the LLBN, His Word, has another English channel. It's called LLBN His Light. Hannah, what's the difference between the two?
Well, they're both great channels, both focusing on spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. His Word has to be more educational channel. His Light has a more variety of programs. You'll see more children's programs, more health programs, but altogether both great channels that you'll want to watch. One of the greatest differences between the two channels is the Sabbath lineup. As you know, on His Word TV, you'll continue to enjoy the Loma Linda University church services live every Sabbath morning. On His Light, you'll see additional church services live from Keene, Texas, from Kettering, Ohio, and from the Adro Hills Church right here in Southern California.
Well, let's move on to the Mid-East. The Middle East, where all kinds of things are going on, and LLBN is going to go there when? In
April. We've actually made several trips down there with Dr. Bates and Dr. Garrity, and there's another one planned in just a couple months.
Well, tell us a little bit about Dr. Bates, and then we'll ask him some questions.
Well, Dr. Bates is an archaeologist, and he is currently at Andrews University. Dr. Bates, fill in some gaps.
Yes, I am a research associate at the Institute of Archaeology at Andrews University, and I'm also an instructor in the Behavioral Science Department, where I teach classes on archaeology, of course. I also teach in the seminary archaeological courses as well as Biblical Hebrew.
And you've been involved in various programmings here that we do at Loma Linda.
Yes, I have. I have been leading with Dr. Garrity so far. This would be our third tour that we've done for LLBN. And I've also done a few programs here for LLBN in the past.
So where have you taken our viewers in the past?
Well, on our first trip, we went to Greece and Turkey, and we were following in the footsteps, final footsteps of John and Paul as he went through Greece, and also we went and visited the 7 churches, which are actually in modern-day Turkey. That was a really exciting trip because we got to go to Patmos, we got to go to Athens, we got to go to Ephesus, which is probably one of the most amazing cities, ancient cities that you can visit. Even now when I think about it, I get chills because it's such an exciting place to go to and realize that that's where Paul was, that's where he walked, to see the amphitheater, or the theater rather, where they had their great discussion about what are they going to do about this man who is putting all these idol makers out of business. So that was our first trip, and then after that we followed in the final footsteps of Paul, which is that we started from Malta and we traveled from the shipwreck, went to the site where the ship crashed, and you can see, when you go there, you actually see why that ship crashed. Because there's a very narrow opening into the bay, and if your ship goes a little too far to the right, which no doubt that's what happened, then you hit the reef. And in the stormy seas, of course, they couldn't see where they were going, and that's why everything, the ship just was destroyed.
Well, the Bible tells us that, you know, it went in on the front part, got stuck, and the back part actually broke away.
And the most amazing thing apart is that everybody survived.
Everybody.
And when you're there, you can kind of see why that is too, because they weren't that far from land. They were close enough, but imagine in that type of storm, it must have been difficult to swim just to get to the land. So we started in Malta, and then we went to Syracuse in Sicily, and then from Sicily we followed up the boot. We're starting at the toe of Italy, if you know anything about what Italy sort of looks like a boot. And we followed up the toe of Italy till we reached Pompeii, and then from there on to Rome. And the last place that we visited would have been the prison in which Paul would have been in at that time. Probably the same prison that many who were believers in Christ when at this time would have probably been put in the same prison.
And now, the situation in the world has changed in a twinkling of an eye, and Persia is open to tourism. In fact, they're really, really pursuing that market, aren't they?
Well, that's the exciting thing. We're at this unprecedented opportunity to visit a place which was previously unavailable to us. The land of Persia is a mysterious and beautiful place, but we couldn't go there. But in recent developments, political changes that have taken place, now the door has opened. Now we can go and visit Persia and see what life was like for the ancient Persians, for Daniel, for Esther, for all those that we read about in the Bible that are related to that period and that place.
And now we got the opportunity to see this history that has been unavailable to us for all time. Now, when are you going?
Our trip begins April 9 until April 19th. It's actually a fairly short trip by the usual trips that we do, or usually they're about 14 days. But we found that in order to visit all the places, we would have to limit our time there. It's a long way, you know, and so we want to make sure that the price is something that's reasonable, that people can afford to visit there. And so it's a 10-day trip, and since it's starting in April, it's also going to be a little bit cooler, and we'll all need to have, you know, bring a coat, but it shouldn't be a problem. The weather should be fairly nice, and maybe a little light rainfall down over by where the mountains are. So,
How many sites are you going to visit?
We're going to so many famous sites. I mean, we're going to start in Tehran, and we're going to go to the Green Palace there and go to the National Museum and sort of get a feel for, okay, what was Persia like? Because this is where Esther was, and we're going to go to the palace where Esther would have lived at both Susa and at Persepolis. These are the two major and most important archaeological sites there. But in addition, we will go to see their graves and the monuments that were erected for Esther and Mordecai, as well as Daniel. So we'll actually be able to walk in the the hallways, if you will, of the palaces where Esther may have gone before King Artaxerxes, and we will be able to see where Daniel would have been the great advisor to the kings of the kings of Persia. So this is just one of those rare opportunities. You just don't want to miss it because it's going to be so much fun. It's exciting for me because I have been waiting for this for a long time.
Especially exciting for you,
Yes.
Given your history. Hannah, any questions for Bob?
Have there been many tour groups going to Iran recently?
You know, the one thing that may surprise us, we're a little bit isolated. We don't realize it, but there are a lot of tour groups that are going to Iran, and they have been for some years. Indeed, right now, leaving in about a week or so, the Oriental Institute at the University of Chicago is leading a tour that completely sold out. They had 60 people who are going on their tour right now, and they leave in 1 week. And they're going on essentially they're following the exact same tour that we are, going to visit the exact same places, but without the benefit of biblical archaeologists to share with them how these places connect to our faith.
So for more information, what do people do?
Well, we have a page on our website. If you go to llbn.tv/Persia-tour, you'll find more information there. You'll have a registration packet to look through and download. And seats are filling up, so you want to get that information to us as soon as possible. You can also just give us a call, and we'll be happy to direct you to how you can fill it out offline as well.
Bob, I'm going to give you the last word. I want you to just look in the camera there, and what would your message be to our viewers around the world about the value of these kind of programs and the support of the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network?
The wonderful thing about being a part of the LLBN family is that you really get to see how God is working throughout the world. This tour is just one of those opportunities, and I hope that you will join us not only on this trip, but also in supporting this really important ministry. That's one reason why I come all the way from Michigan, just so that I could spend time here and to take people on these wonderful adventures where we learn about God, we learn about the Bible, and we learn about how we can share our faith to the rest of the world.
Well, there you have it, the last word from Dr. Robert Bates, Andrews University, the Archaeology Department, and this is something that really is historical in nature. And this is the right time. All the conditions are right, and so if you want to have more information, just go to the website, call Hannah, and we'll get you that information. Well, we're just about all out of time for this segment, this edition of Week in Review. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to pray for this ministry every day, many times a day. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Week in Review.